Lawyers, which marital fight turned into a punch-up that could only be resolved in court. Story 1 The matter concerning my client, a 23-year-old male. He reports that he punched his wife, a 31-year-old female, and would be going to jail on the night of March 31, 2024. My client, who submitted the post through a throwaway account, states that his wife is mentally unstable. According to him, her personality changed significantly after they got married, and she has been known to exhibit violent tendencies. On the night in question, they engaged in an argument. His wife began throwing objects at him and then physically attacked him. In an act of self-defense, my client punched her in the face. His wife then announced that she was going to call the police and locked herself in their guest room. My client was uncertain whether she had actually contacted the authorities, but he remained seated, waiting. He expressed certainty that he would be the one taken to jail. My client asserts that he had never hit a woman before and expressed feeling at an all-time low. Edit. My client noted his surprise at the large number of responses received. He added that he had just been released from jail and planned to update later. Relevant comments. Phoenix_glow. You're in a bad place. If cops come, request a lawyer immediately and keep your mouth shut. If cops don't come in 4 hours or so, then leave the premises and don't return without witnesses or a constable or official. Reddit person. She's 31 and you're 23? Wow, I'm curious how long y'all have been married, and even together before that. Sounds suspect. At Bethel 5. Delete this post. Consult a legal team. Please don't use Reddit for this advice. I'd hate to see anything bite you later. In a thread where one Redditor suggested calling the police on her first, an interesting discussion on female-to-male domestic violence occurred. Livik Razijo, that's not going to work. He punched her and it will probably show. Even if she did those things, it will be in favor of her. My ex-wife slapped me for no reason. I called the cops and they did nothing. When she was asked, she even admitted it. They even laughed at me. Damn me for calling them instead of using violence. Alternative prior 9559. Jesus, I'm so sorry. Male to female or female to male, it's all assault and abuse. Men often keep quiet about it, and I'm not surprised as the system is skewed against them. Majoris Kitten. The worst part is it's men doing the skewing of the system. Men laugh at men who are victims. I have seen how women support each other and help others leave abusive situations, but men are completely alone in this. If a man tells his friends about abuse, he'll probably be laughed at or mocked instead of taken seriously and offered help, which is messed up. Men are taught to go at it alone since they're kids, and now we're in a world surrounded by non-empathetic men who ignore a brother in need. Absolutely heartbreaking and infuriating. TAC 50. To be honest, I don't think it comes to men or women supporting each other, but rather legislation, which is made by politicians, of both genders. To use a good example, in my country there's a 24/7 phone line for victims of domestic abuse to get help. Sounds great, right? Except if they hear a male voice at the other end, they'll hang up on you. Lesbians also get hung up if they slip up and talk about girlfriend. It's only for straight women. Similarly, abused straight women get all sorts of perks when / if they report their abuse, like for example free college or extra welfare. Men, whether straight or gay, and lesbians get nothing. Finally, even in the cases where it goes to court and the abuser gets found guilty, the sentences are much harsher for men abusing a woman than for LGBT relations or women abusing a man, even when the actions are the same. All of this is legislation, not culture. First update April 3, 2024. My client directed others to his profile for the original story. He states that he was unable to respond earlier as he did not have his phone and expressed surprise at the volume of responses to his post. To address some questions, as many believed he was groomed due to the age difference. He reports that he met his wife when he was 19 and she was 27. He described her as the nicest and most amazing woman he had ever met, and he fell for her immediately. She appeared to have her life together, holding a master's degree and being very successful as an independent small business owner. She had been previously married and divorced before meeting him, which he now considers a red flag in hindsight. The couple eloped 4 months prior to the incident. According to my client, the house they live in is leased under his name only, as his wife moved out of her apartment upon their marriage. He reports that it was only after the marriage that his wife began lashing out physically. He clarified that he did not punch her out of anger. According to his account, she threw a glass at him, hitting him in the head, though it did not shatter. He fell to the ground, and she allegedly got on top of him. While attempting to block her strikes, he punched her in reaction. She then acted as the victim, crying, claiming she was calling the police and saying she felt unsafe, then locking herself in the guest room. He then described what occurred after his post. My client confirms that he was indeed arrested on Saturday night, expressing frustration that it happened right before Easter Sunday, meaning he could not see a judge until Monday. He was charged with domestic assault and battery, categorized as a misdemeanor since it was his first offense, but he still faced up to a year in jail. According to him, his wife did not call the police immediately but remained in the guest room after the incident. He posted on Reddit about 20 minutes later, believing she had been bluffing about calling the authorities. However, approximately 10 minutes after his post, 2 police officers arrived, knocking and yelling at the door. His wife emerged from the guest room with a black eye. He realized then that his situation looked bad. He was wearing a white t-shirt that had some blood stains from his busted lip, which he claimed was caused by his wife. Despite stating that he was defending himself, the officers arrested him after seeing her black eye and his own bloodied appearance. He reports that he is currently barred from being near his wife. He has retained a public defender due to his financial situation. His wife has left their home, allowing him to stay there. However, she took his dog with her, despite not originally wanting the pet. My client states that he has contacted a divorce attorney and plans to file as soon as possible. He intends to try to have the criminal charge dismissed, noting that his attorney is confident given his clean record and his wife's prior domestic violence charges. He admits that he was aware of her criminal history but believed her claims that her ex-husband was abusive. He adds that he lost his job because he was in jail on Monday and suspects he will struggle to find another due to his legal situation. My client states that he plans to install security cameras around his house in case his wife returns. He has kept her number unblocked but has no intention of initiating or responding to contact with her. In his words, his life feels ruined. He labels his wife a horrible human being and fears possible jail time or homelessness. He also notes that he is estranged from his family, who had disapproved of his wife from the beginning, and he feels unable to approach them due to their prior warnings. Edit. My client later reports that he reached out to his parents and planned to visit them that night. They were unaware of the situation at that time, but he intended to explain everything. Edit 2. He subsequently updates that he spoke with his parents. He had been estranged from them since his marriage 4 months prior, as they disapproved of his relationship. However, his parents were happy to see him. They initially thought he was visiting with his wife and were relieved he came alone. According to him, the conversation was emotional but his parents were supportive. They offered to pay for both a defense lawyer and a divorce attorney. His mother also began advising him on how to press charges against his wife for abuse and theft of his dog. They invited him to stay with them for safety, but he declined. He adds that he filed for divorce, and his wife was expected to be served at her workplace soon. Relevant comments. Nondescript zombie. I don't speak to my family as they don't like my wife, and this is something that I don't think I can tell them about because they warned me that she was trouble. Geo, talk to your family. Take the I told you so's. Man up. Deal with it. They love you. He confirmed that he planned to speak to his family but was concerned about his mother's reaction since she is a police officer and had previously warned her children that they would be disowned if they ever went to jail. Nondescript zombie. You really think your mom will side with the woman she hated and warned you about and think that her little boy who has only been gone for a few years is now a woman beater? He stated that his concern was less about her siding with his wife and more about her previously strict stance on incarceration. Bizianka. I am sure she was talking about going to jail as doing crimes, not as hitting someone in self-defense. Radiant_Maze 2315. A user who identified as an older sister shared a similar story about her younger brother, emphasizing that family generally welcomes loved ones back after they leave a toxic relationship. Second update April 13, 2024. My client reported that he initially did not intend to update further because, in his view, the matter was over. However, given the large number of messages and continued curiosity about his situation after the initial incident and arrest, he provided an update. He states that the charges against him were dropped. His wife admitted that she exaggerated her statements and informed both the police and his attorney that he had not been abusive, expressing that she would prefer the matter not be pursued any further. With this admission, the misdemeanor charge was dismissed. Shortly after the charges were dropped, his wife came to the house, which now had security cameras installed, bringing his favorite snacks and drinks along with a lengthy apology letter. She was reportedly in tears, expressing regret for nearly ruining his life and claiming she was overcome with anger that night and barely remembered anything. My client states that when she arrived, he remained silent and did not accept her apology letter or the gifts. He simply asked where his dog was. She initially pretended not to know, but he recognized her lying behavior. Her face turns red when she lies, according to him. He told her directly that if she did not return his dog, he would press charges, seek a restraining order, and proceed with the divorce. She then broke down and confessed that she had taken the dog, claiming she did not intend harm but that the dog ran away after she left a door open. She said she had tried to find him but was unsuccessful, and since he was not microchipped, she believed he was gone for good. My client expressed deep distress over the situation. He instructed her to leave his property. A few days later, she was served with divorce papers. She again appeared at his house, crying and apologizing, professing her love and begging him not to end their marriage over what she described as just an animal. According to him, his dog was indeed a major factor in his decision to proceed with the divorce, but it was far from the only reason. He responded by calling her abusive and manipulative, stating that she needed therapy and medical help for her issues. He also told her she was fortunate that he had not pressed charges against her, and that he was only pursuing a divorce. During this encounter, she physically assaulted him again, this time on camera. He called the police. When they arrived, she was reportedly hysterical, claiming she hit him in self-defense during their divorce dispute and that he had prevented her from leaving. Unbeknownst to her, the incident was recorded on his security cameras. As a result, she was arrested, and he was granted a restraining order. Their divorce proceedings continued. My client reports that he visited every animal shelter nearby but was unable to locate his dog, who had been missing for several weeks. He feared the worst. Additionally, he disclosed that his wife's ex-husband contacted him after learning about the situation through mutual friends. The ex-husband shared that she had behaved similarly in their relationship, using manipulation, apologies, and promises to change in order to maintain control. The ex-husband advised my client not to fall for any such tactics. Although my client expressed relief that his legal issues were resolved and he was leaving an abusive marriage, he stated that the outcome was not a happy ending for him, as he had lost his dog, whom he considered his best friend since the age of 16. He expressed deep guilt over placing the dog in harm's way and stated that he missed him terribly. He thanked everyone who had sent him supportive messages and comments, noting that the support had helped him through this difficult time. Relevant comments: that kinky lady commented that the wife's physical assault after her prior apology attempt further proved that she would not change, noting that she prioritized herself over others and lied about the dog's whereabouts. This commenter urged my client to investigate further, expressing suspicion that the dog had not actually run away and suggesting that it was possible she had given the dog to someone else. They encouraged contacting her friends and family to track down the dog. Serenity 450 agreed, expressing disbelief that the dog was truly gone for good. They encouraged my client to pursue every possible avenue, including social media, to search for his dog. Update: my client located his dog, posted on his profile, April 18, 2024. He reported that his dog was safe. Contrary to his wife's prior claim, the dog had not run away. Instead, she had given the dog to a friend who lived approximately an hour and a half away. According to my client, her friend initially believed she was rescuing the dog from an abusive situation, but after learning the full story, she contacted him via Facebook. My client expressed happiness and relief that the dog was safe and back with him. He added that his life was now in a better place and again thanked everyone for their support. Relevant comments: Dramanda Art expressed happiness that my client had reunited with his dog, noting that they had followed his posts and hoped his troubles were finally over. This commenter encouraged continued vigilance, suggesting that my client upgrade his security cameras, change the locks, pending legal approval, and lean on his supportive family. They also wished him and his dog peace and relaxation after everything they had endured. Choice_bid_7941 expressed their belief that the wife had kept the dog as leverage and shared their happiness and relief that the dog was safe. My client then provided another post: my wife is suing me for assault. What are my options? June 3, 2024. My client stated that he could not currently afford an attorney. His soon-to-be ex-wife had filed a lawsuit against him over the incident from 2 months prior, in which he struck her in self-defense. He had been arrested at the time, but the charges were later dropped. He also mentioned that she subsequently assaulted him and was arrested after that incident, which had been recorded on video. Additionally, he retrieved his dog after learning she had given him away. My client asked whether he should file a countersuit, expressing uncertainty about what to do next. Relevant comments. Reddit user 1211 inquired about the nature of her lawsuit and what she was requesting from the court. They emphasized that my client needed to retain an attorney despite the cost, likening it to essential car repairs sometimes unavoidable. Opia. My client replied that his wife was suing for pain and suffering and seeking $10,000 for therapy. He expressed confusion about how he could afford legal representation and questioned whether he should take out a bank loan to pay for a lawyer. Whitesowell asked whether she had actually filed a lawsuit and whether my client had been formally served, suggesting that if she was only threatening legal action, he should ignore her until officially served. Then consult an attorney. Zr0P0INTZR0 clarified that they were not offering legal advice but commented that lawsuits like this are difficult to defend without incurring high legal costs. They speculated that pursuing such a claim would force her to disclose her entire mental health history, which could deter her from proceeding. They suggested that my client could file a pro se answer with extensive discovery requests to pressure her. Story 2 original post June 23, 2025. My client reports that her older sister recently married her longtime fiancé. Both her sister and her new brother-in-law are polyamorous and each have a separate partner. My client stated that she had met her sister's boyfriend several times at family holiday events and described him as very nice. She also recounted meeting her brother-in-law's girlfriend, referred to here as Sally, once before at their engagement party. According to my client, Sally initially seemed nice but appeared to be the type of person who craves attention. She allegedly talked over others, insisted on helping her sister open every gift they received, and claimed that she was the reason for their marriage because she was officiating the wedding. My client found Sally's behavior off-putting but decided not to interfere since her sister and brother-in-law seemed comfortable with her. However, according to my client, the situation escalated toward the end of the engagement party. Sally became visibly intoxicated and loudly began making derogatory comments about monogamy, calling it disgusting and blaming it for ruining relationships. She claimed that monogamy stems from fear, insecurity, jealousy, and control issues. My client states that this made many guests uncomfortable, leading to people leaving early, even after her brother-in-law pulled Sally aside and asked her to calm down. While my client was helping her sister clean up after the party, Sally allegedly approached her to question her about her views on polyamory. My client's boyfriend was not at the party, as he had to work. Despite her sister's attempts to defuse the situation, Sally continued pressing the issue. My client calmly explained that she had tried polyamory in the past but found it was not for her, and that she was currently happy in a monogamous relationship while fully supporting others in non-monogamous arrangements. Sally attempted to respond, but her sister intervened firmly, telling Sally that she was too drunk and needed to lie down. Sally reportedly rolled her eyes but stomped off to the bedroom. According to her sister, Sally usually behaved nicely but often made her polyamorous lifestyle her entire identity, which had caused past issues. Fast forward to the wedding itself, my client reported that everything went beautifully and everyone seemed happy. During the reception, while she and her boyfriend were speaking with her mother, Sally approached to greet them. My client stated that Sally had met her mother on several occasions and that her mother tends to be very friendly to everyone. They exchanged polite greetings and then moved on. Later, when her boyfriend went to get drinks while she danced with her sister, my client noticed that he was taking longer than expected. She went to look for him and found him cornered near the drink table by Sally. She described how Sally had him backed against a wall, moving closer every time he tried to step away, while also rubbing his arm flirtatiously. Though my client couldn't hear their conversation, she immediately recognized from her boyfriend's relieved expression that something was wrong. The only words she overheard were Sally whining, "Oh, come on." My client walked over, grabbed her drink from her boyfriend's hand, which caused Sally to step back slightly. When she asked what they were discussing, Sally allegedly replied in a blunt and flirtatious tone, "I was just telling him how much I love gingers," referring to my client's red-headed boyfriend. Remaining calm, my client responded by telling Sally to stop being, in her words, a fucking cunt, and pointed out that there were plenty of single guests she could flirt with. My client stated that she pulled her boyfriend away before hearing any response from Sally, adding that she didn't care what was said. The rest of the evening, according to my client, proceeded without incident aside from normal wedding festivities. A few days later, my client received a text from her brother-in-law demanding that she apologize to Sally. He argued that flirting was part of Sally's personality and that she had done nothing wrong. My client responded by stating that one day Sally would encounter someone less tolerant and could face physical retaliation. Her brother-in-law accused her of being petty and called her an asshole. However, her sister and mother both agreed that my client had been justified and that Sally had acted disrespectfully. Dr. My client's brother-in-law's girlfriend hit on her boyfriend, and my client responded by calling her a cunt. Her brother-in-law demanded an apology, which my client refused, warning that Sally might eventually face worse consequences from others' relevant comments. 2 cents 0 fucks. Flirting with people is part of her personality. That's not a personality trait, that's a choice. Flirting with non-single, monogamous people who don't want it is harassment. Nta. I am less nice than you, but my husband, who is freaking gorgeous and gets hit on a lot, is even less nice than me. He scared off my ex-best friend so badly after she propositioned him that she hasn't popped her head back up in 20 years. And he did it all by using his words. It was glorious. Edited to add, yes, flirting with anyone who does not want it is harassment. I figured that was obvious and added the details to fit this particular case and what I would have said to Sally. My client commented that her boyfriend is socially anxious and had simply kept repeating no thank you to Sally, even when her comments didn't require a yes or no answer. She explained that she reassured her boyfriend afterward that he didn't owe anyone kindness, especially if they made him uncomfortable, though she understood that he just wanted to escape the situation. On why she thinks Sally did it, my client speculated that Sally's actions were targeted specifically at her and that her boyfriend had been caught in the crossfire. She suspected that Sally might have been trying to provoke her into causing a scene and potentially ruining the wedding, although she admitted that she might be overthinking it. She also noted that the incident changed her view of her brother-in-law. Update 1. My client spoke with her sister and brother-in-law. They arranged to meet that evening, along with her boyfriend, to discuss the incident. According to her sister, after reading the text messages exchanged between her brother-in-law and Sally about the situation, shit isn't adding up. Her brother-in-law wanted to invite Sally to the meeting so she could defend herself, but my client firmly vetoed that, refusing to allow her boyfriend's harasser to be in the same room as him. My client promised to update after the meeting. Relevant comments @_time NTA, and I can't wait till this becomes a borrow post. Nice to see an OP challenge bullshit in the moment rather than being walked all over, then feeling their boundaries being stomped, and coming to AITA to question if their feelings were right and if they stood up for themselves they'd have been wrong. Sorry that this predator cornered your partner, no idea what BAL sees in this nutcase. Best of luck OP, thanks for sharing too. My client thanked the commenter, expressing that she dislikes letting conflicts linger. She had informed her sister of the incident the day after the wedding and believed the matter was settled at that point, with her concerns known and her boundaries set. However, upon learning that Sally's story did not match what she and her boyfriend reported, she wanted to resolve the matter fully. Update 2 posted next day, June 24, 2025. Same post. Update 2. My client apologized for the delay in posting, explaining that she needed time to process everything. She also apologized for the lengthy update, though she attempted to focus on the most important details. According to her, she informed her sister about the incident the day after the wedding. Her sister waited until after their honeymoon to tell her brother-in-law. He then texted Sally to get her side of the story, which explained why he was initially angry. Sally claimed in her texts that all she did was tell my client's boyfriend he was cute, and my client overheard, went berserk, called her a cunt, and allegedly made many terrible polyphobic remarks. My client expressed shock that her brother-in-law, who had known her for over a decade, would believe she was capable of such remarks. She noted that he had only known Sally for about 6 months and admitted Sally had lied to him before. They then arranged a phone call with Sally to hear her account directly. My client noted that her sister quickly realized Sally's verbal account didn't match her texts. Sally changed her story repeatedly, initially saying my client said certain things, then retracting those claims and replacing them with others. At one point, Sally even claimed my client physically pushed her, which later morphed into my client simply reaching for her. My client clarified that during the call, neither she nor her boyfriend spoke unless directly questioned. Her brother-in-law maintained a soft, coddling tone, calling Sally sweetie and baby. Her sister remained polite but direct, focused on resolving the matter. Ultimately, Sally admitted she only remembered my client calling her a cunt but argued that if she said that, she must have said other things that Sally simply couldn't recall clearly. My client found this logic baffling, especially since Sally had already admitted to lying during the call. Sally continued to insist that she merely called her boyfriend cute, but my client found it hard to believe anything Sally said after her repeated lies. She pointed out that she had no reason to believe Sally's words over those of her own boyfriend, who had never lied to her in their 3 years together. After the call ended, her brother-in-law apologized to both my client and her boyfriend, explaining that Sally's texts had initially sounded so convincing and emotional that he believed her. He admitted he had jumped to conclusions, thinking that my client and her boyfriend were downplaying events. He said he was uncertain whether he would break up with Sally. My client expressed personal disbelief that he would even consider staying with her, but acknowledged that it was his decision. She noted that her sister and brother-in-law rarely host events or parties, so even if they remained together, she doubted she would see Sally again. She concluded by thanking everyone who had supported her throughout the bizarre ordeal, acknowledging that while the outcome might not be entirely satisfying to others, it was the resolution she now had. Story 3 original post February 1, 2024. My client reports concerns about his 30-year-old wife's excessive gym habits. He stated that his wife has always exercised and maintained good physical fitness, but he now feels her behavior has become extreme. According to my client, his wife regularly attended a gym during college but later stopped, likely due to scheduling issues. She then preferred working out at home or going for outdoor runs. Approximately 18 months prior, she announced her intent to return to the gym regularly, stating that her new job provided her with more flexibility. Initially, her gym routine seemed normal. However, her visits gradually became more frequent. She signed up for weekend classes, began going to the gym daily, and eventually started attending both before work and again in the evenings every single day. She now uses the gym as her outlet for stress, life crises, and arguments with her husband. His wife is currently 4 months pregnant. While he understands that exercise is generally safe during pregnancy, especially given her prior fitness routine, he expressed concern that she has not reduced the intensity of her workouts. My client described her behavior as resembling addiction. He noted that if she misses a workout, she becomes irritable and moody, as though she is suffering from withdrawal. He finds it unsettling and believes it is an example of too much of a good thing. He stated that his wife becomes upset when he voices his concerns, particularly when he tells her he misses spending time with her. She appears to prefer the company of her gym friends over him. When he has suggested working out together, she has refused, insisting that the gym is her personal time. He emphasized that his concerns were not rooted in insecurity about physical appearance, noting that he also exercises regularly and stays fit due to the physical demands of his job. My client firmly believes that her gym habits are unhealthy. He argues that she is over-exercising and, more concerningly, using the gym as an escape from dealing with real-life issues. In his view, she never addresses problems directly but instead masks them with temporary mood boosts from exercise. He also stated that she neglects household responsibilities, leaving him to handle all chores and meal preparation. While he does not expect her to take on every domestic task, he believes it should be a shared effort. Friends and family have also commented on her behavior. They've remarked on how different she seems and noted how often she is at the gym. Some have even suggested that she may be having an affair with someone there. My client asked others for their honest assessment, expressing frustration that his wife insists her behavior is perfectly normal. Update February 11, 2024. My client provided an update regarding his wife's gym habits, which he described as an unhealthy obsession or compulsion. He reiterated that she spends most of her free time at the gym, sometimes going twice daily or even 3 times if they argue at night. She remains adamant about keeping their gym routine separate. She has banned him from attending her gym and refuses to visit his gym. Her stance is that the gyms must remain her place and his place, with no crossover allowed. My client expressed disappointment, stating that he would love to work out with her and has invited her multiple times. He further noted that she is about 18 weeks pregnant with their first child. Despite her pregnancy, she continues working out with the same intensity as before. My client admitted that he had not seriously suspected her of infidelity. While others raised the possibility in the comments on his previous post, he initially laughed it off, noting that her impressive physical shape clearly shows she spends a great deal of time at the gym. However, after reading those comments, he began questioning his earlier assumptions. He reported that his wife left her phone unattended on the kitchen counter, a rare occurrence since she usually keeps it on her. Overcoming his guilt, he decided to quickly review her text messages. He discovered an ongoing conversation with a man whose name he recognized, someone his wife often mentioned from her gym. She has many friends there and even attended a wedding of one of them the previous fall. Initially, he was not concerned, but after reading the messages, he found sexually explicit content that included intimate photos. He stated that he now knows what the man's genitalia looks like, despite never wanting such knowledge. As his wife returned within a minute or two, he had to scroll quickly. He became furious and immediately confronted her about the conversation. She responded by screaming at him for violating her privacy by looking at her phone. My client admitted that while he felt ashamed for snooping, he did so because of his deep concern about her increasingly strange gym behavior. According to him, she repeatedly insisted, "It's nothing. It's nothing." He demanded to know whether she had slept with the man and for how long. She denied everything, but my client, overwhelmed with rage, smashed her phone on the floor, shattering it. She then called him names for breaking her phone and struck him hard on the back. He left their home in anger, going to his brother's house. His brother and sister-in-law were shocked by the situation, though his sister-in-law had often expressed concerns about his wife's obsessive gym habits. Later, when he returned home, his wife was crying in bed, claiming she had feared he would never come back. My client, however, felt no sympathy and ignored her. He stated that he took her phone to be repaired that evening, despite feeling that she did not deserve it. He remains uncertain about the full extent of her betrayal. She refuses to admit to anything beyond what he discovered in the texts. He strongly suspects that it was far more than sexting. He expressed deep anger, admitting that while he has never been violent toward her and would never actually harm her, he was so enraged after she struck him that he wanted to physically lash out but did not act on those impulses. Update 2: My client's wife admitted to an affair February 12, 2024. My client reported that his wife asked him to stay home from work so they could talk. The previous night, she had tried to garner sympathy by crying in bed, but he paid no attention to her and chose instead to attend his family's Super Bowl party. Although he hadn't wanted to socialize, he refused to remain home with her. During their conversation the next day, his wife, tearfully apologetic, confessed everything. She admitted that she genuinely enjoyed going to the gym, describing it as her place to unwind and socialize. She stated that she met the man in question there. He was well liked, and she found herself developing a crush on him despite initially trying to resist his advances. According to her, their early interactions were friendly and non-sexual. She claimed it felt like an innocent schoolgirl crush and described herself as giddy when she received texts from him. Despite her initial reservations, she admitted to being strongly attracted to him, though she repeatedly told him that she was married and that nothing could happen between them. She admitted that he continued flirting with her under the pretense that they wouldn't cross the line. Eventually, they did. She confessed that they kissed one day and, despite feeling guilty, she proceeded to sleep with him later that night. She compared the experience to falling in love for the first time, stating that she couldn't stop thinking about him. When asked whether she loved him, she said she wasn't sure. She also disclosed that although she believes my client is the father of her baby, there is a slight chance it could belong to her affair partner. She explained that he always used protection, but they were sexually active during the time she conceived. She insisted that she still loved my client but claimed she couldn't deny the spark she felt with the other man. My client reported that the most painful moment was when she asked him, "You would really leave me if it's not your baby, would you?" He told her emphatically that he would indeed leave her and refused to raise another man's child. His wife appeared shocked by his response, asking, "Really? With everything we have and all our history, you wouldn't even consider it?" He reiterated that he would not. His wife agreed to a paternity test but did so tearfully, as though she expected him to feel sorry for her. My client expressed dismay, stating that he no longer recognized his wife. He believed her tears were not from genuine shame but were instead manipulative attempts to make him feel guilty for her situation. Relevant comments/additional information. My client stated that his wife had ruined his life, leaving him feeling numb. He described her infidelity as devastating, particularly because she continued her affair after learning she was pregnant. He expressed anguish that, had she stopped upon discovering her pregnancy, he might have been able to walk away without the complication of an unborn child. He now felt trapped in a nightmare, whether the child was biologically his or not. He mourned the damage she had done to his experience of fatherhood. Regardless of the paternity outcome, he stated that the situation would forever taint his relationship with this child and with the idea of starting a family in the future. He lamented that he had been excited to have a child with her, even though the pregnancy had not been planned, and now felt that all his hopes had been destroyed. My client reported that his wife promised to sever ties with the gym and never contact her affair partner again. However, he remained skeptical, pointing out that she could not even say with certainty whether she loved her affair partner. He found her conflicting statements illogical, declaring she would end the relationship while admitting to lingering strong feelings. He speculated that she remained attached to him partly out of dependency. She had been with him since she was 20 years old, and he believed he had become a familiar, stable presence in her life. He noted that she had no close family or other friends nearby, aside from her gym friends. Despite her good salary, she relied on his income and benefits for financial stability. He doubted she could afford her desired lifestyle as a single mother. My client observed that she was now grappling with the consequences of her actions. She spent an entire day crying about how she had ruined her life, but he ignored her completely, acting as if she did not exist. He asked her whether she would agree to a prenatal paternity test and pleaded with her not to prolong his uncertainty. She resisted, saying she did not want to undergo the test. On whether he hired a lawyer and whether he knew the affair partner, my client confirmed that he had scheduled a meeting with a lawyer for the following week. He mentioned that he had met two of her gym friends, a slightly older married couple, but had never been invited to her gym and had rarely been included in her social circle there. Regarding her affair partner, he stated that he met him once during the summer when the man, reportedly intoxicated at a bar, called his wife for a ride home. My client had accompanied her during the late-night pickup, as he was uncomfortable with her going alone. On whether he wanted his wife to leave, he expressed mixed feelings about her leaving. While he wanted her out of their home, he also feared that if she moved back to her hometown to live with her parents, she might be allowed to establish the location as the child's legal residence, potentially complicating future custody issues. He noted that she had missed a few days of work due to the turmoil but eventually returned. She reportedly received sympathy and support from her co-workers, though he doubted she had told them the truth about the situation. On the duration of the affair, according to his wife, the affair had been ongoing since the previous summer, though my client was skeptical about the accuracy of this timeline. My wife is moving in with her AP, they're in love. February 22, 2024. My client described his situation as something out of a trashy daytime talk show. He stated that his wife, whom he once considered classy, had now devolved into what he described as complete trailer trash. She announced that she was moving in with her affair partner from the gym, despite being pregnant with a child whose paternity was uncertain. She remained unwilling to undergo a paternity test at that time, claiming embarrassment over the prospect of having her blood drawn. According to my client, she spent the prior week attempting to regain his attention and hoping he would plead for reconciliation. He had refused to engage, ignoring her efforts entirely and maintaining a separate room in their shared home. After her unsuccessful attempts to lure him back, she texted him to inform him of her decision to move in with her affair partner. My client noted that she did not take many of her belongings with her, leaving most of her possessions in their house. Despite everything, my client admitted he still cared about her as a human being and as the potential mother of his child. However, he emphasized that he had already consulted a lawyer and was prepared to proceed with a divorce. He advised her against moving out, warning her that it was a poor decision and encouraging her to speak with an attorney herself. She dismissed his advice, stating that she didn't care about his opinion. He expressed disbelief that her affair partner knew she was pregnant and still wanted to be with her, calling it bizarre. He questioned why a man with apparent options would willingly commit to a pregnant woman carrying another man's child. His wife claimed that her affair partner was fully aware of the pregnancy and accepted the situation, professing love for her and a desire to be with her regardless of the paternity outcome. My client expressed deep dismay at the idea of his child potentially living part-time with his wife and her affair partner. He lamented that his life had descended into chaos and expressed frustration that she would refuse a simple blood test while making such drastic life decisions. My wife has agreed to a paternity test. February 29, 2024. My client reported that his wife moved in with her affair partner the previous weekend, taking only a few essential items and leaving the majority of her belongings at their shared home. He suspected that she had hoped he would beg her to return, but he maintained complete silence and did not reach out to her after she left. He described feeling a strange mix of relief, anger, and sadness following her departure. He reported losing his appetite, drinking excessively, and generally feeling numb, though he stated that he was fine. He posted the update because he had been overwhelmed by private messages and found it too emotionally draining to respond to everyone individually. That morning, his wife texted him to say her affair partner now wanted a DNA test, and she had agreed. My client noted the irony that she had refused to undergo testing when he asked, but now saw it as a great idea simply because her affair partner requested it. She asked whether he would submit a DNA sample, noting it would be cheaper to test two potential fathers at once. My client stated that he no longer cared about the cost and only wanted a definitive answer. He confirmed that the testing process required no direct interaction between him and his wife, he simply needed to schedule an appointment for a cheek swab. He planned to do so that Saturday and expected results within a week. He expressed relief that the matter would soon be resolved, noting that it would spare him from enduring months of uncertainty. He concluded by stating that he was functioning normally, working every day and trying to remain focused, but admitted that he felt stuck in limbo. He also confessed that part of him still wanted to beg her to return, though he refused to act on those feelings. He said it would be even more difficult if the baby turned out to be his and she remained with her affair partner. However, he noted that her affair partner might abandon her once paternity was established. He vowed not to beg her or engage in any emotional games. Relevant comments/updates. March 8, 2024. TTI survivors, have you gotten the paternity test results? My client confirmed that he received the results at 11 o'clock that morning and that he is indeed the biological father. He described his emotions as deeply conflicted. Jacoby_Brian8, is she asking to come back home? Or is she still planning on staying with the other guy? Regardless, this is a rough situation. I'm sorry for you, bro. My client stated that they had not spoken yet. Jacoby_Brian8, understandable, but I think you should try and set up a meeting with her somewhere public to discuss the pregnancy and the future in general with her. Whether or not your marriage is going to end, the kid is still going to be a big part of your lives, so it would be best to see where both of you stand in that regard. Also, I recall you saying earlier that you think your wife would listen to what her affair partner says to her, or something similar to that, so now that it's not his kid, I would be concerned about him pressuring her into getting an abortion. So I think you really should talk to your wife about your unborn child and whatnot. My client acknowledged the need for such a discussion but explained that he had received the news during his workday and was not ready for an in-depth conversation yet. He felt he needed time to process everything before speaking with her. An update on my wife's affair and pregnancy. March 15, 2024. My client provided another update regarding his situation. He explained that his wife had been having an affair with a man she met at the gym for nearly a year. She is now approximately 22 weeks pregnant. He discovered the affair when she was around 17 weeks along. Although she repeatedly assured him that he was the father, she initially refused to undergo a paternity test to confirm it. However, they recently completed a paternity test, prompted by her affair partner, which confirmed that my client is indeed the father. He described experiencing a wide range of emotions, stating that the results were both relieving and distressing. Initially, he believed he wanted no lasting ties to his wife, especially not through a child. However, upon learning the results, he admitted to feeling somewhat relieved, as he had already mentally prepared to become a father before discovering her infidelity. Still, he struggled with the reality that his child would be born into such a complicated and painful situation. He expressed deep resentment toward his wife for creating this environment for their baby. My client confirmed that his wife continues to live with her affair partner, leaving the majority of her belongings at their shared home. He stated that he refused to pack up her items, believing it should be her responsibility. Following the paternity test, she texted him to express happiness that he was the father and to reassure him that she knew he would be a great dad. She even sent him baby name suggestions and tried to call him, but he ignored her calls, choosing to communicate only through text. She later asked if she could come by to collect some of her things. He allowed it, as advised by his attorney, but explicitly told her that her affair partner was not welcome. Despite this, her affair partner accompanied her and entered the home uninvited. While she went upstairs to retrieve her belongings, her affair partner remained in the living room with my client. He attempted to start a conversation, claiming he understood how my client must feel. He further stated that he genuinely loved my client's wife, accepted the paternity results, and had no intention of interfering with my client's role as a father. He also attempted to assure my client that his wife was doing fine and that he was taking care of her. My client expressed disbelief at the affair partner's behavior and questioned why he would involve himself with a pregnant woman carrying another man's child. He then warned the man to leave his house immediately or face physical consequences. Afterward, my client went upstairs and confronted his wife, who was gathering her things in the bathroom. He expressed anger over her decision to bring her affair partner and repeated his belief that it was bizarre for the man to remain involved given the situation. He also told her that the affair partner would have no role in their child's life. His wife apologized, claiming her affair partner had insisted on coming. She also confessed that she was now in love with him and believed he was a better fit for her current life. She mentioned that they were already setting up a nursery at her affair partner's home, and told my client he could set up a separate nursery at his home. She also stated that she had no intention of seeking full custody or limiting his involvement in their child's life, which she presented as a gesture of goodwill. As she went back downstairs, my client followed her. Her affair partner remained in the living room. Without warning, my client punched the man, causing him to stumble back and fall into a table. His wife screamed in response and rushed to her affair partner's side. My client admitted he did not care about the incident, noting that it would not have happened if the man had respected his request to stay away. Later that day, his wife texted him again, apologizing for the incident and reiterating that her affair partner was genuinely a good man who cared about her and respected my client. She claimed she was attempting to have a mature conversation about the situation and insisted she was not trying to hurt him. My client expressed disbelief at her words, pointing out that her affair partner had been involved in an adulterous relationship with her and showed no respect by intruding on his home. He concluded by lamenting the fact that his wife and her affair partner were now preparing to raise his child together, even if only part-time. Despite his best efforts to remain stoic, he admitted to feeling profound sadness and jealousy. He acknowledged that, although he wanted to view the affair partner as merely the trash man who picked up my garbage, the reality remained that he still loved his wife. Despite everything, though he had no desire to stay married to her, the entire situation remained devastating to him. Another installment of the implosion, which is my marriage. April 10, 2024. My client provided a further update on his situation. His wife is now approximately 26 weeks pregnant. He reported that, surprisingly, there had been little drama between her and her affair partner in recent weeks. He mentioned that he had taken a long weekend trip to get away and found it refreshing. One point of contention arose regarding the delivery of their child. My client firmly stated that he intended to be present in the delivery room and that her affair partner would not be allowed. He argued that it was his child and that he would not accept being relegated to the waiting room. Initially, his wife agreed, assuring him that she had no plans to include her affair partner in the delivery. However, when he asked whether she had communicated this to her affair partner, she admitted she had not. After she informed him, the affair partner began pressuring her to allow him in the room. She then changed her stance, telling my client that she wanted both men present, as she believed it should be her decision since she was the one giving birth. My client expressed frustration over this development, anticipating that the affair partner would soon begin interfering in other areas, such as baby name choices, many of which he and his wife had discussed years prior. He reported that they had discussed their pending divorce. His wife offered to let him keep their house and their dog. However, my client insisted on selling the house and splitting the proceeds, as stipulated in the divorce paperwork. He noted that he had made all the mortgage payments and possessed better credit and less debt than his wife. He also stated that he had only agreed to buy the house because she had liked it, and now preferred to start fresh elsewhere. As for their dog, my client confirmed that he had legal proof of ownership and would retain custody of the animal, which he described as his top priority aside from their child. He firmly stated that her affair partner would never have any claim over the dog, adding that his dog was far more loyal and arguably more attractive than his wife. With plans to sell the house, my client explained that he still intended to prepare a nursery there in the interim to avoid any accusations of being unprepared or uninvolved as a father. He expressed some satisfaction that, for once, he could make decisions about the nursery's design without considering his wife's preferences. Although he admitted to moments of loneliness, he also found it somewhat refreshing to live alone after spending most of his adult life in a relationship with her. He reported having a strong support system of friends and family but sometimes felt overwhelmed by their constant questions about his situation. He also mentioned that he had received a recent promotion at work, though he regretted that it did not come after his divorce was finalized, as it could affect the division of assets. My client stated that he still monitored his wife and her affair partner on social media, occasionally hoping for negative news about them. He admitted to considering retaliatory tactics, such as leaving negative reviews for the affair partner's upcoming business. Finally, he shared that her family was now aware of the situation. Her sister had reached out to him, expressing sympathy and calling her sister a dumbass. According to the sister, my client's wife had already begun complaining about her affair partner, specifically that he was selfish during intimacy, refused to perform small acts of service she had come to expect from my client, and spent too much time with his friends. She reportedly lamented that he did not speak her love language and that their relationship was far from perfect. My client expressed deep satisfaction upon hearing about her dissatisfaction, stating that he found her misery delightful.